Hey everyone, today on the podcast we have a really, really cool guest, Sacramento's own Taylor Greer, Carlile, Realty and Lending. And so say hi, Taylor.
Hi there, everybody around the world. Taylor Greer here. I'm the president of Carlile, Realty and Lending. Looking forward to speaking with you today.
Yeah, and so you were telling me that you guys are up to some big things. So why don't you introduce your company and a little bit of what you have going on?
Thank you. We consider ourselves a multifaceted residential real estate firm, having nearly 50 real estate and mortgage agents, the largest appraisal practice in Sacramento, and working and partnering on a number of residential subdivisions and developments. We're fully integrated residential brokerage, working with people across the state.
Wow. Yeah, you do have a lot going on. So appraisal, you're working on developing subdivisions, full brokerage, and then there's a lending side of the business as well, correct?
Yeah, a long time ago, when I was just a lonely mortgage broker, we gotten that adversarial role with real estate agents, where we should be partners. It seemed to always be very contentious, so that's why we kind of made a real estate and mortgage company. People call it a one-stop shop. I'm still trying to figure out a better term for it, but really creating a symbiotic relationship between the realtor and the loan officer, which has proven to be a very good selling point with a lot of our buyers, buyer clients. First-time buyers love it because we dispel a lot of the concern, a lot of the vagueness that they hear about in terms of buying their first home.
Yeah, I got to imagine, to your point, that's pretty effective. Just thinking about communication, which is 80% of any deal is proper communication, and everyone being on the same page with timelines, and the flow of everything is probably really efficient since it's all in house.
I don't want to give any of my secrets away to the competitors.
Very smart man. Huh?
So we've become pretty well known in our marketplaces as the buyer's brokerage. You get the Remaxes and the Lions that are the listing agents, and a tough nut to crack. But we started with who we were, which is young buyers, and really tried to minimize the gestation period or the incubation period between giving your first buyer consult to the young professional, maybe married, maybe still single, and sending them back and forth between XYZ mortgage brokerage or bank and one of the big real estate brokerages. And so by bringing those two in-house, both mortgage and real estate, it's helped us to really almost minimize the incubation period, in some cases down to a matter of hours, where we have them pre-approved, sitting in a room with their folks. We're giving them the down payment or identifying a down payment assistance program, and having our realtor at our side and literally pushing them out the door with the pre-approval in one hand and 3 or 4 homes to go look at tonight in the other hand. And that's been instrumental for us.
That's pretty exciting. And I mean, that was really needed because, like you said, there's so many steps, and it gets confusing enough between home buying and the lending, and for people who are seasoned at it. But when you're a first-time buyer, it is so intimidating. It is so scary. It's so confusing. You hear 8 different things, and you always listen to the wrong person. So to have that all in a clear, concise system is fantastic. And I'm sure you guys do a lot of education events, correct?
We do. We just completed an education event. We've been in business now. This is our 14th year. So a lot of our clients have gone through the great market that we've had since the recession, which is just increasing, 25 to 40% equity now in homes that we sold them at low down payments. So we hosted our very first time real estate investor seminar. And what we were doing was educate those same first time buyers that we took in, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, and helping them release the equity in their home, i.e. a refinance, and using it to buy a duplex or fourplex just down the street. So for us who are trying to manage both the real estate and mortgage side, that could effectively become 3 transactions with one client. So We hosted that here with a good friend of ours, Scott Raymond, who used to own a company called Raymond Management, and talked to them about the pros and cons of owning a passive income real estate asset. Identifying the marketplaces which are not the same marketplaces that a young executive couple might live in, and then dispelling some of the property management myths. I don't. The one we keep joking about is I don't want to be the guy to change my water heater out at 3 a.m. when the tenant calls. So
yeah.
Really trying to help them understand that this could be a very passive, as long as the cash flow is correct.
Yeah, and it's I'm fascinated by real estate investing. It's really my love ahead of just people buying or selling their own home. And it's interesting, a few things you said. I know you guys are involved in a lot of levels of investing, but I love the idea of duplexes, fourplexes, triplexes, whatever, as long as it's still residential, as opposed to just a single family residence. Could you talk a little about the advantages or why those numbers pencil out a little bit better for investors?
Yeah. There's a couple of really easy ones come to mind. Single family homes tend to have just more people, more bodies, more family members. Makes it harder on the property itself. But duplexes and your multifamily properties have a great benefit, which we call vacancy rate. It means if some guy on unit A doesn't pay his rent on time, unit B can usually cover a good majority of the mortgage, which means that if you have trouble collecting from unit A for a substantial amount of time, you're not out of pocket the full mortgage payment, which can really hinder your actual cash flow or even your profitability just after 1 month of missing a rent payment.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a great testimonial from one of my clients who's been with me 8 years now, Mark Sanchez. You might have known him, and he bought a house with me. We refied that house. He bought a duplex. We came back and refied the duplex, and he bought another duplex. So this young man, 35-year-old man, now owns five doors or three buildings. We estimated at $1.3 million, and he's a state worker, he's a state employee, making about $75,000 a year. So really using his testimonial to help people understand that you don't have to be the son of a rich guy or a multi-$100,000 earner to be a real estate investor. A lot of people took that away.
No, and it's making those steps, and he's basically, you're teaching him how to play Monopoly, and how to leverage one to the next. And everyone in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, before the crash, and even a little bit now, everyone's so focused on equity, right? And it's, oh, my house went up, oh no, my house is going down. But like you said, that's stuck in your house. You could only realize or use that equity or benefit from it if you somehow release it with a refinance or a sale. But to be able to leverage that equity into more properties is so key. I absolutely love that, because then you're just sitting pretty where you're just letting the renters pay the mortgage every month, and it's paying it down. And you said the state worker, I'm guessing by the time he's not even 50 something years old, he's probably going to be set to retire and be a millionaire with your help,
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, and how did you mentioned that you have mortgage broker roots? You got into the real estate business first as a lender?
Yeah, I'm a third generation real estate broker. So both dad and grandfather were in the development world, residential development, which is where this all comes around. But I liked the mortgage side. And for me, mortgages were more manageable. It was more about the guidelines and making sure you beat the guidelines or beat the underwriter, rather than trying to placate to a husband and wife or a couple's different needs, right? One side of the couple wants a nice kitchen, the other one wants a large bathroom, and you're sitting there dealing with not so identifiable needs. Yeah,
it's very subjective, right? The soft sell.
So I always liked the mortgage side. The guy liked the terms. He'd give me the documents. The documents didn't fit the underwriting guidelines. I'd massage the underwriting guidelines, and we'd make a deal happen. And so for me, that took a lot less emotional strength, and it wasn't so up and down. But you were in mortgage, even guidelines change underneath your feet. So we have to keep learning them, and I enjoy that part of the game, staying ahead of the guidelines.
Yeah, yeah. And these days, it's definitely there's a lot of boxes to check. A lot of them good. I think a lot of the regulations that came in, so we don't have some of the nonsense we had before the crash. But you definitely have to
But
keep.
we're having fun with it, though. One of
Yeah.
the giants that nobody likes to talk about is Equifax. After their data breach, but Equifax partnered up with Fannie Mae to do this thing called one-day certainty. And essentially, if you're in a well-known company, let's say Xerox or IBM, they have a work number, a number identifier for that company, and you just type that company name in, and it'll find the borrower, and it'll tell you their income, and you don't have to collect a single financial document from them.
Whoa, pretty crazy.
Income document from them. So those kinds of things. I mean, we closed a loan a few weeks ago with a driver's license, a prelim title report, and an updated homeowner's insurance page. That was it. Because we could find their account at B of A with them logging into a secure password, and we could find them at, again, let's just use IBM, and so all I had to do is put a good looking application in and send in a proof of who they were and proof of ownership, and we closed in 11 days. So pretty cool stuff.
Oh, it's very cool. Yeah, the innovations are, a lot of people focus on the negative news, or they're worried about this, or the sky is falling. But I think there's just as many innovations for the good as long as you pay attention, huh?
Right.
And what year did you actually say, hey, let me open up my own shop with Carlile?
Well, we opened up our version 1 in 2005, and then sometime around 2008, we put it back on the shelf.
Yep.
No bankruptcies or anything, but we just kind of unwound it for a while, and then in 2013, we reopened version 2.0. Which was the part that integrated the real estate in our appraisal practice and everything, and kind of took what I consider to be the better parts of the business and industry and put them all together.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, and smart to hit pause in 2008 because it's there was no terra firma. It was like the recent earthquake in California. It was like trying to work with an earthquake under your feet, and everything is shifting and changing. So that was probably next to impossible.
We're trying to close deals at banks that were bankrupting the day that we were funding.
Yeah.
So it wasn't worth trying to stay out of that.
And since 2013, the version 2.0 that's been wildly successful, what does that growth curve look like for you?
Well, we went from 5 people doing 5 deals a month in 2013 to almost 45 agents now in 6 offices across the state, doing about 40 deals a month. So the growth curve has been great. Where I've finding myself learning about is the true business management side, or the back office side of being a broker. It's very easy to do compliance when everybody's kind of in the same room. Now we're working with a full-time administrator, TC, processor, a full-time marketing director, and all the different staff that we have to do, and making sure that they're on task is in charge. For a while I was just the sales manager, and now I'm actually running this operation. So learning that as we go.
And I didn't realize that you had. Did you say 4 or 5 offices across the state?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have 5. We're about to open our 6th here, I think, at the end of the month.
Wow, fantastic! And one of the reasons I wanted you out on the podcast is you've exhibited, whether you know it or not, the traits of a great leader. And I know you have a lot of offices, a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. And so I wanted to pick your brain on leadership. And so tell me first off about a few of the challenges you've had or the learning curve with leadership with Carlile.
Man, well, it's a heartstring there. So leadership's a tough one. So, you can lead. It's pretty easy to lead when there's a few guys, and most of them are your friends. Your buddies, your drinking buddies, or sports buddies. But then when you start bringing on people that have less affinity to you, that's where you really have to start trying to hone in on what your leadership is. So the first thing that I started doing when I realized that I needed to grow along as a leader along with my company was I started to reach out and start learning from other leaders. So one guy that is instrumental in our coaching is the Tom Ferry organization. Tom Ferry is mainly known as a real estate sales coach, but he's opening up to other avenues. The guy's just incredibly powerful and actually pretty meat and potatoes as far as real things you can do to increase your business.
Yep.
But another step that we took was we take and read a real estate or sales or a empowerment or self-help book in the business every quarter.
Oh, cool.
It's funny to use another one, but we're reading Gary Keller's from Keller Williams' book right now.
Yeah.
Millionaire real estate agent. I figured, this guy's created an organization. I'm trying to do something similar. And so that's what when we're reading in the company. And the way I used to joke around about it is, if I'm not looking up to somebody, then at some point these guys are going to stop looking up to me. And I can. There's only so much I can preach from what's inside of my head. I need to reach out to a higher power. And so I've been looking up to a lot of these other coaches, whether they're in real estate or not. It's not that big of a deal, but just trying to figure out how to understand, the team mentality and keeping people in line without having to rule with an iron fist.
Yeah, walking that fine line. And it's interesting. I'm a big believer in that too, of always listening to others. I mean, these days information is so readily available, whether it's reading people's books or Tom Ferry's little video blogs are amazing and podcasts, all that fun stuff. And so there's really no shortage of knowledge at your fingertips. And you could, someone maybe took 20, 30 years to garner some wisdom, and you could download it and read it in 30 seconds. And so it's really just up to you to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Exactly. I love the video blogs from Tom Ferry. We watch them almost consistently every week. And that's one other thing that we did to take from being a little club to being a corporation or a real entity is a consistently meeting. And I remember the first, we call it Tuesday Professional Development, an hour long. We go through the readings. We do some Tom Ferry video blogs. We go through the wins and losses or whatever's going on in our marketplace. But I remember the first few months I did it, people would come up to me every Monday afternoon and say, "Are we still doing that meeting on Tuesday? Are we still doing that meeting on Tuesday?" I had to consistently say, yes, that meeting is every Tuesday, no matter what. I think I even did a call-in video meeting one time. But it created that consistency that these guys could then rely on, knowing that I was always going to be there and that I was always going to come with new and fresh material. Even if, they thought it was boring, they knew that I was still preparing. Mm-hmm. I was still putting my nose in a book to try to bring them something of value. And through that, they started to look up to me as more than just, their broker, right, who they're sharing their commission with. Now I'm in a position of mentorship, and they really started to not take that for granted.
Yeah, you're doing something right if you're top of an organization and people are saying, "Ooh, could we please have that meeting?" Most of the time people are like, "Oh, another meeting," but I think they probably appreciate that you're trying to educate them and really empower them to be a better business person and serve their clients better. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you find the best ways or some of the tactics that are best to inspire and motivate the agents in your teams?
The professional development meetings very helpful on Thursdays now. Every other week we call it a Tech Thursday, and it's just trying to bring them different technology tools or allowing some vendors to come in and do a lunch and learn. Really trying to get them motivated. We just started I thought this was a cute little one. We just started a softball team for the company. So, ways to get out and have some quality time with each other. The motivation, we do another one that I think people just wait for you to falter on, was we do power hours now twice a week. And it's for anybody, it's not required, but I get out there and I'm out there again every Tuesday and Thursday participating in the power hour, calling my clients, calling my past clients or friends, and showing these guys even my scripts to show them that this is how I did it. This is me going back to the roots. This is how this business is. It doesn't just fall in your lap. And those kinds of things, not sitting in your office during power hours, but actually getting out there and participating. They love seeing that.
And so that's awesome because, all of these things are fundamental, right? Whether it's Gary Keller or Tom Ferry or you or anyone, it's really no new inventions. It's how to effectively, consistently reach your clients with the right messages. And so a lot of realtors, I think, or lenders are very reactionary, and they're just going with the wind, and they have deals, they close them, and then they freak out because they don't have business, and they're, but to have that structure to, hey, once a week we're doing this, we're going to plan our scripts, this is what works, this is what doesn't, and actually treat it as a craft with some accountability, I think that really, really is good for the growth of the people on your team.
It's helped greatly. It's our business almost doubled from the beginning of the year to right now. We're doing 20 deals a month, 25, and now we're up to 40. And it's just because of including some of these accountability measures, and they're not required.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, these, a young man or woman really has egg on their face when me or, a manager who's done this 15 years is still doing, the same routine, and he's wondering why his paycheck isn't coming in. So
that's like
started to see more, where they were reluctant, at first. Oh, I don't want to do that. Cold calling, I hate it. We're not going to hate it. I'm like, hey, I'm doing it too, man. So look at where I'm at, and look at where you're at. I think you should probably take some accountability and measure up. I'm doing that without an iron fist. I'm doing it from a position of showing them, mentoring them.
That's like the all-star veteran showing up at the very first day of optional training camp and busting their ass, right? It's if you're a rookie or you just got drafted, like you said, you're going to have some egg on your face, or the culture is going to be like, hey, everyone, all hands on deck, everyone's working and learning and growing and doing it together. So that's pretty cool that you do that. Let me ask you this, in terms of leadership, is it something that's more innate? Are people just born leaders, and not just you, I mean in general from what you've seen in business or in life, or is it really something that's mostly learned?
There's got to be some middle ground there, but I have a young kid here, and he's really taking everything I've said to heart, and more than anything, he's taken and read. I think he's reading up to 2 or so books a week on leadership and how to become great in real estate. And this kid comes from very humble beginnings and is now closing 5 or 6 deals a month.
Nice.
And we just say that he just literally soaks it up, and it's paying off. Where before I don't think anybody would have even picked up the phone for him. Now he's out on listing appointments daily. So, that's just sheer strength and attitude from him.
And that's got to be, I mean, that's awesome. How could you not root for a kid like that? I say kid, a young adult like that. But for you, you have to be so proud. I mean, that's got to be really gratifying to see someone buy in and achieve that success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the best feelings. One of the best.
So, where do you think Carlile is going next? I know you mentioned another office. In your grandest vision, where is this going to be 5 years, 10 years down the road?
We have a couple ideas. Definitely want to increase our footprint across the state. I don't envision us needing to leave the state so much so, but we came up with another idea last year to try to figure out how to get into the private finance world. A lot of the guys are doing these fix and flips and stuff, but one set of circumstances would suggest that, if you or I had a couple $1,000,000 in our pocket in 2005, we would come out, like a slingshot. And so one of our goals is to try to identify and create a fund, a couple $1,000,000, hopefully fund to, kind of have on hold for the next downturn. And I never claimed exactly when that's going to be, but I envision we're at the later end of a cycle, and perhaps there's going to be some great value deals very soon, and we want to be ahead of that.
And that's when you're playing the game where you're seeing, that many steps ahead, and you could prepare for it. That's when you're really playing to win. Like you said, with the cycle, it's inevitable. We're not talking about a crash like 2007 and 8 and all that stuff, but it's inevitable. There'll be a little cooling, and we've already seen some of that. What are you seeing in the Sacramento real estate market now? And what do you anticipate, let's say, going into the winter or a year from now?
Yeah, people get ahead of their skis. It doesn't matter what stage of the cycle they're in. Additions don't get approved. The product type that somebody builds isn't the right kind. Partnerships fall apart. Relationships fall apart. People end up not living, and so you have to be nimble for those types of opportunities. In a weekly update to the company here this morning, I made a little quip about being nice to your appraiser. Mm-hmm. We are seeing, the typical agent who was kind of just trying to push the value limits and was able to get away with it for quite a few years recently. There's not that much movement anymore from the appraiser for the buyer or for the listing agent to try to chase down that offer price. Yeah. And so I was suggesting to our Carlile community that making sure that they're prepared to meet an appraiser, to be able to justify their offer through comps, and to make sure that they show up there with a non-aggressive attitude, and again, be nice to their appraiser. And it comes with a little tongue in cheek, because I am a certified appraiser, and I've seen those guys that come at you, hard and say, I can't believe that you never hit that price. And, when we see a cooling in the market, which it's not cool, it's just not, people aren't chasing that price anymore. Yeah. Where we were seeing 105 list to sale price ratios, which means we're getting 5% over ask. Now we're at 100 or 99%, and there's some real negotiations going on, and a buyer's agent can be as strong as a listing agent. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, the appraiser sees it before everybody. Our appraisal firm with Justin Fatzer, we're doing 200 to 250 appraisals a month. Wow. So a typical sales agent is seeing, or closing 3 deals a month, right? So they might see 10 homes. Now we're, that's all respectfully. I hope it comes out that way, but we're seeing 250. So our data set is infinitely larger, and we see on our market comparisons, we're a little flat. We're a little flat, but mm-hmm. It's nothing to be worried about. It gives deference to no one. A listing agent can't be they can't bully. They can't show up and start screaming and bully. They can't yeah, right. They can't do about it. They're not able to bully people. You're not getting 10 offers. There's always going to be a subset of the market. In Sacramento, it's like the sub 350 market has multiple offers. But I'm talking about the majority of our suburban areas are not seeing more than a few offers, or having one that they're actually having to negotiate. I enjoy the part of the negotiation. So for me, it's levels of playing field. And you actually, be nice to your appraiser. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, be nice. And Justin Fatzer, big shout out to him. We all know him and love him in Sacramento. So here's
Here's a free commercial for you, Justin, right there. But
You have a case to play with.
yeah, like you said, it's a little bit more balanced now. Everyone always says, "Oh, the market's so hot or the market's so cold," and we just wish it was normal. And now seems like we finally achieved that. But I mean, with interest rates so low, and I think Sacramento also has the added benefit of being disproportionately lower price compared to other California cities. But we're on the come up, or we've been on the come up, and now I bet you're seeing a lot of people, especially investors from the Bay Area, trying to poach Sacramento deals.
There are those investors, man. They're coming. They're coming strong too.
Do you work with a lot of Bay Area people?
I don't. They'll call us on listings, but I don't know who's giving them their information, but oftentimes they try to come in at low.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seems contradictory. Usually they're coming with an agent from out of the area too, which
that's the biggest mistake right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a recipe for disaster when you're talking about location, and knowing where to go, and yeah, interesting. What do you think about? I'd love to get your take on all of the phony baloney discount brokerages and the what was it, Purple Door, and all these crazy ones. They've been around forever, but they come and go. I think one of them just went out of business again. But what's your take on those?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what those ones were back in the day, like Save Realty or Save Us. Anyways,
Help You Sell, wasn't that one of them? Help You Sell or something like that?
Help you. Well, yeah, Help You Sell. Yeah, it sounds like grocery outlet. So we were just playing around, and we were listening to a couple guys talking about it, and there's just a ton of hidden fees with that stuff. It's pretty interesting. I had one client who had he had a personal reason why he needed to sell his house less than a year after he bought it, and they wouldn't even touch it. Not enough equity in there for them to scam him out of. Another one who had an immense amount of equity, and they had a 3%, I think it was 2 or 3% realtor commission, and then they had a 6% like convenience fee, like a Ticketmaster type of fee.
Whoa!
So you're talking about, yeah, shoot, it's like I just dropped my jaw. You're talking about from typical realtor deal here in Sacramento, maybe 5.5%, but for both sides to go to 8 or 9%. And for them to think, I don't know who's advising these people. Obviously, nobody's advising the sellers. But yeah, they're taking a huge fee that is not a realtor fee. It's a convenience fee, and that's just obnoxious.
So how the hell is that? How the hell is that even legal? Their whole thing is advertising as discount, and then oh, by the way, in the small print, you're paying nearly twice as much for half the service. I mean, that's complete bullshit, right?
It's complete, and you'll see the same thing that happened to them that Help You Sell or these other ones happen to them. It's easy to be a discount broker when you have 100 or 200 transactions in your office and you're getting transaction fees. It's much harder to be a discount broker when those transactions get cut in half because we see a little bit of a cooling off in the marketplace. And so that's what some people are anticipating is that those 1 or 2% discount brokers will like I think Redfin, or I don't even know some of their names. But they'll probably end up clamming up or changing their pricing model. Is likely the option will change their pricing model to be more similar to ours, and then they'll have to compete with us. And it's pretty tough to compete with we're not a discount brokerage. We're a full service brokerage, which means we offer full service. And we say that loud and clear. And then when these agents go to try to be a full service brokerage, they're not going to even know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we always anticipate. But the difference between me and a Rocket Mortgage or a Chase Bank is extremely different. And people still like to have that service. People still love to go to Nordstrom's. People still love to know that they can come back and talk to a human being, and we enjoy that part.
And even Nordstrom's, I know what you mean, where it's very high service, one of the most service oriented retail businesses out there. But they come with a price. I would say you have Nordstrom service, but TJ Maxx prices or something. You're where these others are like dollar store service, dollar store prices. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, with real estate and lending for a small part, I think it's important to have. There's a lot of trust built into it, and that's what these big websites, these big, the Help You Sells or the Purple Door or the Redfin and all, they don't get it is that people really want to shake someone's hand and know a human being is looking out for them, who's going to be there even after the deal closes and maybe for the next one through their life. So I'm on board with you. They'll always try to pop up, and maybe when the market's hot, they'll siphon off some unsuspecting sellers, but I think they'll go away pretty quickly.
So,
Yeah,
go
interesting.
away, and the greatest part is about people that enjoy our service, and pay for our service. And again, we're not a discount broker. They pay for it. They like to talk about it. They like it's similar to like a country club or a club and organization. The Rotarian loves to invite and preach and try to get people into their Rotarian, right? Into being a Rotary. Mm-hmm. Same way with the country club. They want to express how proud they are of being part of that membership. And so a lot of our clients do the same thing. I just got a phone call. My friend who's a framing owns a framing company here in town. He just had a client come in to get her artwork framed, and he apparently was gleeful about the service that we provided to him. So much so that she had pre-approval from somebody else and totally just said, "Forget it, I'm over those guys." Kevin was so gleeful about telling me who you were and what you did for him and his family. He said, she said I couldn't even think of going anywhere else.
Oh, that's amazing. Cool. That's amazing. When you turn when your clients are so happy they turn into your advocates or ambassadors, you're doing something right, huh?
A brand ambassador. That's what we always want them to become. Even when they come in for a pre-approval and we either can't help them because of their finances or something else comes up, I tell them, I say, no matter what happens here, I want you to be able to walk out of this office being my brand ambassador. And they usually look at me very confused. And I said, if we didn't answer every question perfectly and make you feel like you were unrushed and not pushy, then we haven't done our job. And what we want you to do is the next time you're sitting at the water cooler or the coffee pot at your office, and somebody even so much as mentions real estate or mortgage, I want you to be able to tell them, I met these cool guys or girls, and they were not pushy. They knew their facts. And, it didn't work out for me because of some personal or other reasons, but you should call these people.
Yeah.
And those are cool. Having brand ambassadors, that's the most inexpensive, and also fulfilling marketing that we could do.
Oh, amazing. That's when you're doing it right. And, I have, towards the end of the podcast, I always ask 3 questions. I have three questions for you, but before we get to that, I would love to get your take on, you said you guys were doing some development work in Sacramento, and that's something that most people don't do. You get a lot of real estate firms don't even invest in their own product. And so if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about those plans.
Yeah, well, starting from the back going forward, we call duplexes to fourplexes. We call them the Carlile 401k. And so it's our duty to buy our own goods, right? Same thing they said with Kirby Vacuum. You got to buy what you sell, otherwise nobody's going to trust you with it. So we frequently are trying to get people who are coming up with us to buy either their first home or their next home as a duplex, and it's really empowering for them to know that they can literally say to their client, "Hey, you should do this because I'm doing it also." But the development work came from, it's a family lineage thing. I enjoy it to some degree. I enjoy building homes. And so I've probably built, 36 homes in the last 5 years.
Wow.
All around Sacramento. Mostly one-offs, some subdivisions. I was able to awesomely name a subdivision, a 4-lot subdivision, not too big, after my first son.
Oh.
So you'll find Declan Court there in the Tahoe Park area.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
but a lot of it's just with the spot builds, one-offs. My largest that I did on my own was 38 lots down right by Costco in Elk Grove area, or South Sac area.
Wow.
And then been instrumental in helping to unwind some larger families stuff for now out of business developer here in town. So having fun with it. Yeah, it's exciting. I call it my 5-year plan. Every time I go into one of those things, man, I just know it's going to be 3 to 5 years, and you just got to be able to roll the dice and ride the roller coaster.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they always need inventory, and so someone's got to build it. Do you build actual duplexes, or is it mostly single family residences?
I have 2 duplexes being built currently, 2 single families, and 1 triplex. So we do them all. I try to hold on to the multis though, and then use the single families for reserves.
And there's a real shortage of multifamily in Sacramento, correct? I mean, smaller, still residential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems to be a shortage. There's also a lot of them for sale that are cash flow positive right now. So
wow.
If you're in a duplex, let's call it Citrus Heights, you can get $1,600, $1,800 a unit, and you're buying them for $350. That means your notes on it for $285, something like that, and you're cash flowing $400 to $600 out of the gate. That's what we're trying to teach with that first time investor seminar. Is that you got to come up with some money. You got to come up with 25%. But maybe we can unlock it. Maybe we can get your parents to be your partner. Maybe we can get a couple young couples to be partners together.
Mm-hmm. Borrow from a 401k or something. Yeah.
From a 401k, unlock the equity from the house they bought 5 years ago, and getting them to passive income. And the earlier they buy, or if they can buy in their 20s or 30s, that means that if they pay that 30, if it takes them all 30 years to pay the 30-year note, they're experiencing a fully paid off asset producing cash flow. So if the property doubles every 20 years, that means a $350,000 duplex should be worth somewhere between $650,000 and $700,000 by the time that they are ready to retire, and maybe is yielding $6,000 in income. Yeah. And for some people, that seems inconceivable until you explain to them what Oakland was renting at and selling for 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they're, wow, I didn't realize that. So we're trying to show them, and it's not sexy. It's not as cool as telling me that you invested in Tesla and it went up 11%, in a month. But it also isn't. You're also not telling me it crashed 11% last month.
It's also not Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin. It's not sexy. You got to put up with some attitudes. Or you can go passive and get a property manager. But the goal is that I call it a 30-year bond. In 30 years, it's going to be there, and it's going to yield you an immense amount of cash, and it's going to be an asset you can transfer. So that's what we're heading for next is growing. We were all very young 15 years ago when this started. Now we're growing up, and so we're just trying to grow with our clientele.
Yeah.
And showing them what the next step is. And it's a little bit. We got some good leads out of that first seminar. I think a lot of people, we opened their eyes, but because this is not a household conversation like it is when you're buying your home for your new wife and your kids.
Yeah.
That's a conversation every household has, right? I want to own my first home. But telling people that you can own multiple homes or multiple duplexes, that's a conversation that's really foreign to them. And so it seems to me like this conversation is going to have a couple steps to it.
Yeah.
But again, once we get a few people on board, that's a 3-transaction client,
mm-hmm.
And it could turn into more, if we get them really aggressive. So
amazing. Yeah. Hey, and I super appreciate your time here to cap off our podcast interview here with Taylor Greer. I wanted to ask you three quick personal questions. So first, the easy one. What do you do for fun when you're not working like crazy?
Mm-hmm. Usually boot camp for working out, and then snow skiing. I'm a extreme snow skier.
Oh, nice. You head up to Tahoe?
Tahoe Tahoe about 15 or 20 times this year. Did Mammoth. I went to Chile a couple of years ago to do some real skiing. That was impressive.
That must have been epic. Yeah.
Epic.
So what are in Sacramento there? I know you were born in Granite Bay. Is that correct?
Right.
What are some of your favorite like restaurants, bars, watering holes, or just places to hang out?
Oh man, right now with the kids and everybody involved, it's over there at Arden Plaza, so that's Mas Taco and Duke's. It's biking distance. What is the new one downtown? Sauced at the Doco. That's cool. That's the rib joint. And then I heard that the new there's Burgers and Brews all over town now, so I usually can try to find one of those pretty frequently.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. And all right, last question here. It's a good one for you. What would you tell your younger self, like 15, 20 years ago? What advice would you give young Taylor?
The only thing that I would try to do differently is not put my real estate career on hold during the recession. I think that was backwards facing. I decided I liked lending, so I went and tried to do some commercial finance and some SBA business lending. And to some degree, I feel like I kind of missed the boat on that. And then to follow up or piggyback on that, I should have bought more duplexes, single families.
Yeah.
During the recession, one of the ways I started building homes coming out of the recession was I was buying lots for $25,000 down in Oak Park and building, $250,000-$300,000 homes on. And I didn't want to become a property manager, so I just sell them. Not so much a flip, but like a flip, right? Sell them, build them, and sell them. And one of the times I built a house on 15th Avenue, rebuilt it, and Eric, the buyer, comes back to me 5 months later after I sold it to him, and I also did his loan and I sold it. I cleaned up on this deal, but he calls me 5 months later and he says, "Hey Taylor," he says, "didn't you tell me that after I was over a 660 FICO score and had more than 10% equity, you thought it would be worth it for me to refi?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I got that now." And I said, "That's BS, Eric. You've only owned this house for 5 months." And I pulled the comps, and this guy made more money in 5 months than I did making the whole flip and his loan.
The whole deal and build and everything, yeah.
Yeah, and so I ended up refining him into a conventional loan. And at that time, I was like, all right, I need to be able to carry these properties further through this cycle rather than continue to flip them and make my 15%. So that's when we started. Justin and I started keeping our flips and investing more into duplexes that we could keep because it was just the income potential is ridiculous, and that's one of the things my dad said in passing while he was passing. He said, of all the deals I did, of all the millions that I made in subdivisions and big land projects and stuff, he says, I wish I would have held on to more income property. That's because when he was, at the end of his faculties and he's 60, 70 years old, he wanted to slow down. He had kind of spent, a good amount of those big wins of his. And instead of investing in passive income, he went and, had a lot of fun. But, so I'm trying to do both. But this passive income approach, I think is more of a legacy that's easier to develop. And if things unwind or as I get older, I'll be able to rely on the good decisions I made 20 or 30 years prior and not have to rely on my decision-making skills at 60 or 70.
The long game, brother, the long game. Yeah. Amazing stuff. Taylor Greer, Carlile, Realty and Lending. If you're in Sacramento, give him a call, have a beer with him. Great guy. So I really appreciate you taking the time, brother.
Hey, thanks a lot. That was great. Really appreciate it.
You got it. Good luck to you.
Remember when my first meal was school lunch? Now I spit a 16 straight with no